Welcome back to the Building Wealth podcast and episode 5 in our playlist, The Psychology of Money. So far, we've explored how beliefs shape your financial decisions, the power of automation, and the impact of fear and scarcity thinking. Today, we're focusing on something we all do but rarely stop to think about deeply: spending. Spending isn't just a financial action, it's an emotional experience. Every purchase we make is tied to our psychology, our emotions, and even our identity. Why do we buy things we don't need? Why do we feel guilt after spending on ourselves but justify splurges for others? And how can we become more intentional about our spending habits? In this episode, we'll uncover the hidden psychology behind spending, the traps marketers use to influence us, and how to regain control so your spending aligns with your values. Let's dive in. Section 1: Why we spend the way we do. Let's start with a big question. Why do we spend? On the surface, it seems simple. We spend to meet our needs: food, shelter, clothing. But if that's the case, why do we buy a designer jacket instead of something practical? Why do we upgrade our phone when the one we have works just fine? The truth is, spending goes far beyond practicality. It's tied to emotion and identity. Every time you spend money, you're making a statement about who you are or who you want to be. For example, buying a luxury car isn't just about transportation, it's about signaling success or status. Treating yourself to an expensive dinner isn't just about hunger, it's about indulgence, celebration, or even self-care. And then there's the concept of emotional spending. Ever bought something because you were stressed, bored, or even sad? That's because spending activates the reward centers in our brain. It gives us a temporary dopamine boost, a quick hit of happiness. But like any quick fix, it doesn't last, and often it leads to regret or guilt. Section 2: How marketers manipulate your spending. Now, let's talk about the other side of spending, the psychological tricks marketers use to influence you. If you've ever walked into a store intending to buy one thing and walked out with a cart full of items, you've experienced the power of marketing. Here are a few examples. Scarcity and urgency. How many times have you seen phrases like limited time only or only 3 left in stock? This taps into our fear of missing out, pushing us to buy now instead of thinking it through. Anchoring. When a product is priced at $100 but marked down to $50, it feels like a deal, even if $50 is still more than you were planning to spend. Social proof. Seeing others buy something, whether it's through reviews, influencers, or friends, makes us more likely to purchase it. After all, if everyone else thinks it's worth it, we assume it must be. The power of free. Ever bought something you didn't need just to get free shipping or a free gift? That's because we're hardwired to see free as irresistible. Understanding these tricks doesn't mean you'll never fall for them. It just means you can recognize when it's happening and make more intentional decisions. Section 3: Aligning spending with your values. Now that we've hacked why we spend and how we're influenced, let's talk about how to take control. The key is to align your spending with your values. But first, you have to know what your values are. Ask yourself, what truly matters to me? What brings me lasting happiness, not just a temporary high? Where do I want my money to go so it reflects my priorities? For example, if you value travel and experiences over material things, but you're spending most of your money on impulse buys, there's a mismatch. Once you identify your values, you can use them as a filter for every spending decision. Here's a practical exercise. The next time you're about to make a purchase, pause and ask yourself 3 questions. 1. Does this align with my goals and values? 2. How will I feel about this purchase tomorrow, next month, or next year? 3. Am I buying this for me or to impress someone else? These simple questions can help you break out of autopilot spending and make choices that truly serve you. Section 4: The joy of intentional spending. Here's the good news. Cutting back on spending doesn't mean depriving yourself. In fact, intentional spending often makes your life more joyful. Why? Because when you spend on what truly matters to you, every dollar feels well spent. Think about the last time you spent money on something that aligned perfectly with your values: a gift for a loved one, an investment in your health, or a memorable experience. Compare that to a random purchase that felt exciting in the moment but left you feeling empty later. Intentional spending isn't about spending less. It's about spending better. And this doesn't just apply to big purchases. Even small daily habits can shift when you become more intentional. For example, instead of buying a coffee out of routine, you might decide to make it a treat once a week at your favorite cafe. Same expense, but it feels more meaningful. Spending is about so much more than money. It's about emotion, identity, and values. By understanding the psychology behind your spending habits, you can make choices that bring you joy, reflect your priorities, and move you closer to your financial goals. In the next episode, we'll continue this journey by exploring the role emotions play in financial choices. Why do we make decisions that seem irrational? And how can we manage emotions like fear, greed, and guilt to make better financial choices? It's a conversation you won't want to miss. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might find it helpful. Let's keep building wealth together, one intentional decision at a time. See you next time.